Welcome to this masterclass, how to use Tailwind Create. Today I'm showing you a brand new way of designing pins that takes literally seconds using Tailwind Create. A way of designing pins you've never heard of before that will change the way you create pins forever and that saves you hours in your Pinterest workflow. Hi there, I'm Katie, a Swiss educator, blogger, and Pinterest specialist from across the pond. You'll usually find me a hop, skip, and jump away from a glass of rosé, my mini wiener dog Phoebe scrolling Mr. and Mrs. Smith in pursuit of my next big escape because I'm obsessed with traveling. I run a blog that's focused on all things digital marketing, and out of all social medias, Pinterest is the one I love most. It's my passion and my favorite. Pinterest helps me drive thousands of blog visitors to my website every single month. Being strategic with my pin design has helped me reach between 700,000 and 1 million monthly Pinterest views in a small business niche, which still totally blows my mind. And this summer, 2020, I got asked by Tailwind, the tool I use to schedule and automate my pins on Pinterest, to test their brand new pin design tool, Tailwind Create, as a member of an exclusive VIP group. Now, Tailwind Create is officially here, and I can't wait to teach you all about this amazing tool that will save you hours and headaches. Let's have a quick look at Tailwind Create so you know what to expect. Now, we're just inside of my Tailwind dashboard. And inside of Tailwind here, you now have the option to create pins inside the tool. You simply head over to the brush icon here, press Start Designing. You want to add a URL, so I'm just gonna type that in. You want to add a pin title, something like this. And then you can upload a photo here. So let me just grab one here. And once you have done that, I am going to press on this little button here that says create the images, and you will see the magic happen. So I want to show this real quick before we jump into a deep dive of the tool. So check this out. So here we are inside of Tailwind Create, and they literally created all of these gorgeous, amazing pins for you to use on Pinterest and in your business. These templates are designed to work, and there are dozens for you to choose from. Now, this is just a quick overview of how to use the tool. So shall we dive into the tool some more so you can know all the secret tips and hacks on how to use this tool for your business as well? So here's an overview of my 7-step system you can use to get most out of Tailwind. So first, I'm going to give you a really quick introduction to the Tailwind scheduler, and then I'm going to walk you through the 7 steps how I use the tool. So step number 1, you're going to add your images, your pin title and pin destination, so your URL. Then Tailwind Create will create pro pin designs in seconds, and you might want to adjust the branding and tweak it a little bit so they're perfect for you to use on Pinterest. In step number 3, I'm going to go into the pin editor because you have the option to edit the pin templates that you saw inside the tool even further. And then in step number 4, I'm going to show you how you can repurpose your content for different niches, seasons, and events. Then in step number 5, I'm going to show you how to create template favorites to optimize your entire Pinterest workflow. In step number 6, I'm going to show you how you can automate this process and schedule your pins to Pinterest in Tailwind. And then in our final step, number 7, I'm going to show you how you can rinse, repeat, and optimize. So let's jump straight into Tailwind Create now so you can follow along exactly how to use the tool. Okay, so we are back here in the Tailwind dashboard. And first of all, you might be new to Tailwind. So I want to give you a very quick rundown of how I schedule my pins with Tailwind. This is not a scheduling tutorial, but I just want you to know how I use Tailwind for Pinterest. So if we head over here to the publisher and we head over to drafts. So what I used to do before Tailwind Create arrived was that I would create a pin design in a different design program and then upload my pin design here into the draft section of Tailwind. Now you can see a couple of examples, but I'm gonna grab one from my desktop real quick. And I'm just gonna simply drag and drop that into here, and you can see it uploading now. And then if you refresh that page, and you scroll all the way down, you can see here the image that I've just uploaded here to Tailwind Drafts. So what I would do now is go ahead and enter my pin description here. Then I would go ahead and enter a pin title like this. Choose a board that makes sense, something like this. And then I would go ahead and add that to the queue here. So here on the right, you can see open time slots for the different days. So what you could do now is simply press the add to queue sign here. And then this pin will be added into my queue here on the right. And you can see open time slots here. And this just means that if I schedule this here, so I'm going to do this now, add to queue. You can see it appeared here now. So Tailwind will make sure to pin this pin on Monday, September 28th at an optimized time. So this is 10:20 p.m. and I don't have to think about it for a second. Now, this used to be the way I worked with Tailwind and my design program. Now, Tailwind Create has changed my Pinterest design process completely. So if we head over to Tailwind Create now, so here on the left, press Create, you can press Leave. We can start with our pin design right inside of Tailwind Create, and you don't need a second design program at all. Now, I'm on the Pro version here because I want to show you everything there is inside the tool, but you can start with a free Tailwind account and will have most of these features. Now, this is a beta version, which means Tailwind is still changing things. So your version of Tailwind Create might look slightly different, but I want you to have an advantage using this tool straight from the beginning when it comes out. Now, you can see that I've played around with the tool a little bit already, but you're going to start with an empty screen here and you just want to press Start Design. So let's start with step number 1. Add your images, pin title, and pin destination. So the URL where you want people to lead from Pinterest to your website, your products, your whatever. Let's do this. Okay, so this is the screen where you choose your pin title, upload your photo, and decide where the pin should lead the person who clicks on it on Pinterest. So your destination link. So let's add a URL here. Let's also give it a title. And you want to make sure to add keywords into your title that you want to rank for on Pinterest. Now, you could even choose a different pin title than the name of, for example, your blog post or your product to give it an additional boost. So make sure you use keywords here. So for example, cocktail ideas like I did here. Now, you've got 3 options to add a photo to your pin. First of all, you can upload a photo here, and here I don't mean your pin image. I mean a recipe photo or your product photo or your wedding shoot photo, anything that comes straight out of your camera. So let's make an example. I'm just gonna upload a photo that I have saved on my computer. So I'm just gonna press upload photo and then choose 1 or 2 images here to upload from my computer. So I just uploaded a couple, so we have more options for our template, and you see the full power of Tailwind Create. Now, as a second option, you can also scroll free stock images here. So if your blog post or article doesn't include images at all, you can get copyright-free images right here. And this just means you're allowed to use those images in pins. The photographers have waived their copyright, and it's 100% okay to use those images in your pins. So let's do something like cocktail and press search. So you can scroll the images here and then upload one that you like. So for example, this one, and you can see it's now here. And then the third option you have is you can press on URL here, and here it's already sourcing in the images that you have included in your blog post or on your shop page, which I think is crazy valuable because now you don't have to upload your images here again. So I don't really have a lot of interesting images here, so I'm gonna choose a different URL here. So this is a fruit blog that I really love. And now you can see that it changed those URL images to the one that this blogger has embedded in her post. So these are the gorgeous images that you could be working with right now. So these are the options to upload your images. And once you're ready, you can press the button down here below, and Tailwind Create will come up with dozens of beautiful pin designs that look like they were designed by a pro, literally in seconds. So watch this. So let's jump into step number 2, create pro pin designs in seconds and your pin branding. So let's scroll here just for a second because it's just so flippin' amazing. Now, Tailwind is an official Pinterest partner, and that means they work with Pinterest directly. And everything they come up with is approved by Pinterest. So don't worry about this at all. This is 100% legit. Okay, so first I'm going to run you through the dashboard here and the general settings. And then in step number 3, I'm going to go into how you can customize individual pin designs even further. So let's do this. Okay, so here in the right top corner, you can filter for different content types, filter for industry, and filter for different pin formats. So for example, under content types, we've got blog posts, opt-in offers, recipe pins. So if you go into recipe pins, you can see that those pins changed. And if I go out here again, you can see that all the pin templates appear again. And the same goes for industry. So if you're a wedding photographer, if you're an event planner, you can really refine your selection even more here. And then finally here under pin format, you can, for example, choose collages, which I think look really beautiful. So you can see that it is sourcing in multiple images. So that's why I wanted to add several different image options. So you can see how Tailwind Create is creating you these gorgeous pins on its own. It's really fabulous. And remember, I'm on the Pro plan, so I can show you all the features, but you can start for free. It might just look slightly different in your dashboard, so please just don't worry about it. Okay, so now all these pin designs were created based on the Pinterest best practices for pin design. Now this sounds a little fancy, but it just means that Pinterest has analyzed millions of pins, and they have found criteria that most successful pins share. Now, Tailwind has included these criteria for you, so in those designs, so you can be sure that these pin designs here are optimized for success on Pinterest. Honestly, I'm still super excited about this product if you can't tell yet. Now here on the left, you can update your brand preferences. So when you first use Tailwind Create, you can set those brand preferences before you create your first pin. After the first time you use it, like I'm using it here, you can update them here below. So everything you change in your brand preferences will apply to all of those pins you see here. Okay, so let's update our brand preferences to start. All right, so here you can set the standard brand preferences so that all your pins, colors, and fonts match your brand. This is so important to me, and I love that Tailwind made this happen. So let's play around here a little bit. So first of all, you want to add your brand text or brand name. So I have my URL here because that's what I usually use on my pin, but you could go ahead and just use your company name or something like that. Below that, you can choose your brand fonts for the titles and the subtitles. So if you're on the free plan, you can scroll all the fonts that you can see here. So there's a ton of fonts included that you can choose from in your pins. If you scroll all the way down, you can also upload your custom fonts, and that's what I'm gonna do now. I think you need to be on the Pro plan, but check it out first to make sure that you have this option as well. So let's just quickly grab one of those fonts, something like, for example, this one. And if you open up the drop-down menu again, you can see under uploaded fonts that we have the font that I've just uploaded from my computer here. Now you can also choose your color palettes here. You can choose up to 4 main brand colors, but you can go into individual pins later as well and change any color you want. So this isn't set, this is just to help you. Now you can also scroll through curated palettes by Tailwind here. I think some of them are really, really beautiful, so you can go ahead and check those out for inspiration as well. Now, finally, you can upload your own logo that will appear on your pin as well. So let's quickly do that as well. And you can see it is uploading my totally fake logo here. And what you can do now is just save your preferences here. And we are back here in the overview. Okay, so everything that we do here on the left will apply to all pins here on the right. So if I switch my color palettes, for example, here, into something like this, or something like this, or something, I don't know, like this, you can see how the colors in pin templates have changed. Now, the same goes for if I close this window and if I go into the title here and change something like, for example, 10 cocktail ideas, you can see that this changes the title of all the pins here. Now you can see that we so far only have the title, but I can also go ahead, for example, and add a subtitle here. So if I add a subtitle, so something like plus free downloadable recipe guide, you can see that the subtitle appeared on the pin as well. Now, if I don't want to have that subtitle, I'm just gonna delete it, and it's deleted on all the pins. So anything I do here on the left applies to all pin designs. Now here in this view, I can also add a call to action. And this is something like learn more or buy now or, I don't know, try now. And you see that now a call to action button appears on some of the pins. So you can see try now here. You can see try now here. Try now here. So anything that I change here applies to all pins. Now, below the call to action button, you can also change the branding. So for example, if I don't want to have the URL, I could press no branding and it will take off all the branding of my blog or my business here in those pins. You could also add your logo, but I kind of like the URL for my pins as well here. So let's move on to step number 3, pin editing options. Now, this on the left here is not all that you can do inside of Tailwind Create. You can now go into individual pins and then adjust that pin even further, because maybe you like the pin template as it is right now, as you can see it here, but depending on the image and the title, you might want to go in and do some subtle adjustments. So if I press here into Edit now, you can see the pin and only this pin as a close-up. Now this interface works like most design programs, and Tailwind has mentioned that they will build out this pin builder more and more. So here you can just press on anything and move it around. So anything that you click on, you can change, and you will see different things appear depending on what you click on. So I could go ahead and add another subtitle and then just write something in here. You can see the call to action button. So if I maybe want to do that a little bit bigger, something like this, or I want to change the color of the call to action button to, I don't know, green, I could do that here. If you go here onto the left, you can see that you have different text options. And if you go into elements, you can see that you have different elements. You could also, again, search for other images and add them to the pin as well. So you can, for example, add an arrow like this, make it a bit smaller and have it something, I don't know, like this. It doesn't really fit that pin because it's already so flippin' beautiful, but you could go ahead and change the pin if you wanted to. Now here also you have boxes like this. This is really handy if you want to create other call to action buttons, or even, I don't know, something like this. So let's just make that a little bit smaller, something like this. And then here you can make it more transparent, so something like this, and then move it to the background and, I don't know, give it a different color. Let's make it green, more transparent, like this. You could do something like this and then, for example, change the color back to, I don't know, black, so it stands more out. Something like this. So anything you see here is editable here in this pin editor. So whenever we are ready and we feel like this pin looks beautiful, and you can see it now has this little OK sign, and it is selected here below. I'm going to go into how to select pins that you can schedule in a second. Now I just really quickly want to show you these options here so you can switch between different looks. So if you press here, you can switch from different colors to colors. So these are your brand colors. And you can also switch through the images that you have here selected as well. And if you click on the image, you can zoom in and choose the location of the image. But I feel like this looks really cool as it is. So let's jump into step number 4, repurpose your content for niches, seasons, and other events. Okay, so now let's get into some workflow hacks. Now that you know how to use the tool and customize your pins, you want to think about how you can create multiple different pins for one of your blog posts, your services, or your product. I create 5 to 10 different pin images for each piece of content that I create. This is what Pinterest wants you to do, so don't worry about spam. You're only going to get flagged as a spammer if you repin the same pin over and over and over again to the same boards. But we're going to create different pin images that look different yet lead to the same URL, your blog post or product. Now, Pinterest will see each of those pins as fresh pins, meaning new, even though they lead to the exact same content. It's all about the image. Now, this is why this tool is so powerful. You're basically creating one piece of content, but then give it 10 times the exposure because you have 10 pins for the same content. Super, really cool, right? Okay, so how can you come up with 10 different pin ideas? Now, the key here is to repurpose your content for different niches, seasons, target groups, or events. So let me make an example here. Maybe you own a gin distillery and you sell your gin in your online shop, and you've just created a brand new special peach flavored gin. Now, on top of your shop, you also have a blog where you create content around gin. You, for example, share different gin cocktail recipes. Now, how can you present your peach gin on Pinterest through different scenarios? So first of all, you could create a peach recipe guide for people who are planning their wedding and they are looking for a signature cocktail to offer to their arriving wedding guests. So let's create a pin for this example. So let me scroll a little bit, and because I want to make it more wedding-like, I just added 2 wedding photos here, so just from the stock images. And then I'm gonna scroll here and I want to find a template that has multiple images. I could also go and filter for it. So I don't know, something like this. And then I can go into different looks and then I can switch over from image to image. And I just want to find something that's more wedding-like, cocktail-like. So maybe this one. And then I want to go into edit here. And anything I change here in this setting, so whenever I am in the editing mode for just one pin, anything that I do here only happens to this pin. So in the previous dashboard, we had everything that we changed in the left side, on the left side, changed all the pin templates on the right. But here you can do anything and it will only affect the pin that you're seeing right now. So just want to move this around a little bit. So maybe like this, so that we can see the couple in the back a little bit. So maybe make it a little bit smaller. Maybe switch that image out, move that to the other side, do something like this, and then go into photos here, search for stock images, I don't know, choose the image here, and then I'm just gonna adjust that a little bit, something like this. Here, something like that. And then here you can just go ahead and change the text of only that single pin to something that makes more sense for that pin. And you want to change those out and add different titles. So I'm gonna do something like this. I want to change the size of that title, something like this, make it more like that. Then I'm also going to add a subtitle, something like this. I'm going to make it smaller, like this. Maybe even that out, like that. Center it. And here is your gorgeous adapted peach wedding pin. So you want to save and go back and create the next pin that has a different theme, that has a different scenario. So maybe you are, for example, hosting a Thanksgiving party and you're looking for orange colored cocktail recipes to share with family and friends. So you could go ahead and go, for example, into this pin, say edit, and be like, for example, 7 orange cocktail ideas for Thanksgiving. And then you could go ahead and save and move on to the next. Or maybe you want to create a different pin for your audience that's for someone who's planning a picnic date with his or her girlfriend or boyfriend, and they want to impress them like crazy with a beautiful homemade cocktail. So you could go into another pin. and then change this to something like the best picnic cocktail to woo your date. Something like that. And then you would obviously go and switch out those images, but basically you're done. You're going to reach so many more people with one single piece of content just by presenting it in different ways, creating scenarios for your audience, and show them how they can use your content or product in real life. Pretty cool, right? And the key here is really to think about different audiences, events, and seasons. So let's jump into step number 5, create template favorites to optimize your Pinterest workflow. Now, you've got different options how to select the pins you want to download or schedule to Pinterest via Tailwind. You can either select the pins straight in the dashboard, so here, like this, or you can add them to your favorites here on top, which can be helpful for the next time you create a pin. Now, whenever you select a pin you're happy with, you will see them here below. Or you can press the little heart sign that appears here, something like this, and the design will be saved to your favorites here on top. Now, you can go ahead and play around with the settings here on the left. So for example, change the color theme and create more pins. But these changes that you do now won't affect the pins that you have already selected or saved to your templates. These pins will stay exactly the way you want them. So let's jump quickly into saved designs, and I have a couple of designs saved here from previous times, but you can also see the favorite pin that I just saved into the favorites here. So what I recommend you to do is go ahead and create 2 to 10 favorite templates that you customized how you personally like the pins. Then, the next time you want to create your batch of pins, you simply upload your new image here. So if you go into favorites and you upload your new images, your product shots, your blog posts, all you need to do is then do the final touches here and you are literally ready to go. Now, this is also the time to download your pins. If you want to create backups of your pins or add your pin to your blog post or product page, because you might want to do that so people have an option to pin your pins directly from your content. So to download a pin, you simply want to go into Edit, and then here down below you can press download and you can see that it downloaded the pin as a JPEG. So if I open that up, you can see the pin as a JPEG on my computer. So let's jump into step number 6, how to automate this whole thing and schedule your pins. So let's go quickly out of this view. Let's press discharge the changes. And now we are ready to go schedule the selection of pins you want to upload to Pinterest. So you want to go to Go Schedule here below in the bottom right corner. So what will happen is Tailwind will put all of those pins into the drafts section of your scheduler. The one that I showed you in the beginning of this masterclass. From there, you can add your pin description, keywords, hashtags, and select the boards you want to pin these pins to. So let's do this. Let's go press schedule. So you can see all the drafts here below. And if we scroll down, you can see the pin images that we just created. So first of all, you want to choose a board that fits this pin best. And yes, it can be the same board for all of your pins, or you can choose different boards for different pins if that makes more sense. So you can simply go into here and then choose the board that makes sense for you. Now, obviously, this is about gin and recipes, and I have a marketing blog, so it doesn't make any sense. But you would just go ahead and just choose one of your boards here. Now, you can also pin your pin to more boards. You can just simply add them here. Now, if you pin the same pin to more than one board, just make sure you use an interval of at least 3 days. So if I add another board here, you can see that this interval function appeared here. So what I would do now is use the interval. And let me just quickly grab my own URL because you want to make sure that you are pinning those for yourself. And I just used the other URL as an example. So if you have your boards here like this, you can see that this little button, use interval, appeared. And what you can do now is choose the minimum time between each pin. So Tailwind recommends at least 2 days between pinning to different boards. I usually do 3 days or more, and then you can just press set the interval, and Tailwind will make sure to pin this pin to first this board, and then 3 days later it will pin it to this board here. And also you want to make sure that you never pin a pin to more than 10 boards. So 10 boards here is the maximum. Now, this is really important. You want to make sure that you include a pin description. Now, this is so important for the Pinterest algorithm, so don't skip adding your description here. So for this, we could do something like, check out this amazing post about the 10 best cocktail ideas for a girls only Saturday night party. Then I would just go ahead and change my mistakes. And then I would go like, try, download the free summer recipe guide now so you can impress the heck out of your girlfriends. Something like that. Now, this pin description also helps people scrolling on Pinterest. Now, you want to tell them more about the pin or the product and in what situation they could use it. So try to include at least 2 to 4 keywords that are relevant for that pin. And Pinterest uses keywords to categorize your pins, so when someone types something into the search function, Pinterest knows to show your pin. Now, finally, you want to include 2 hashtags. And remember, keywords are more important than hashtags because they are forever. So don't worry about hashtags too much. I would just add 1 or 2. So something like hashtag cocktail, hashtag summer recipe, or something like that. Now we are ready to schedule our pins. Okay, so I'm just gonna quickly copy that, for example, to this pin as well. And by the way, you can use the same description for your pins. The Pinterest algorithm will still think this is a new pin and this is a new pin, even though it goes to the same content and has the same description. Pinterest only cares about the different image. So don't worry about it. You can for sure change the text if it makes sense. And I would do it if you, for example, do different scenario pins as we've discussed earlier, but I just want to do the same here as an example. So now we are ready to schedule our pins. And what I do now is I usually add an interval between those pins just so that I don't overwhelm my audience with similar pins. And you don't have to do this, but I usually do it. So I'll let them go out at an interval again of like 3 days or 5 days or even more. So what I do here is I go back into the interval section and I go into like here and let's say 29th for this pin, set interval, and then I would go into the second pin and change the interval, go into like October and do like Monday, October 5th, set the interval. So you can see now that this pin will go out on September 29th and this will go out on October 5th as well. So what you will do now is just press schedule and you can see that this pin appeared here now inside of the schedule, and you can also see it here. Tailwind will pin that pin to the second board on October 2nd, and I could go ahead and schedule this next pin as well. And I don't have to lift a finger. I don't have to worry about anything. Tailwind takes care of scheduling and pinning all of my pins. And I've personally never seen worse result than in manual pinning. So I don't pin manual at all, and I get great results on Pinterest. Okay, so we've got one more step that most people forget, and they leave a huge opportunity on the table. But before I go into our final step 7, let me tell you real quick how you can access Tailwind Create before anybody else. Okay, right now, as I'm filming this video, Tailwind Create is still in the beta version, which means you'll have to follow the exact step-by-step system I described below the video to get Tailwind Create before anybody else. Since I was in the VIP beta group who got to test the product this summer, and you are here with me right now, I can get you access before Tailwind Create opens up to the public. You can sign up through my link to get access to Tailwind Create before it officially launches, even if you have an account already. You can use my coupon code to skip to the top of the line. Now, according to Tailwind, Tailwind Create will officially launch for everyone mid-October. So if you're watching this in October 2020 or after, you can start a free account through my link and get access straight away. You don't need an additional access code. Now, I'm an affiliate for Tailwind, which means when you sign up for your free account through my link to get early access to Tailwind Create, I get a commission from Tailwind if you ever decide to upgrade to one of their paid plans. This will be at no cost to you at all. So if you thought this masterclass was sick and you learned a ton and you want to support me and my tiny business, then please use my link below to sign up for your free Tailwind account below. So just follow the step-by-step guide I describe below to access Tailwind Create. Now let's jump back into step number 7, rinse, repeat, and optimize. Okay, from here I want to jump into Pinterest analytics real quick. So let's quickly do this. So we are just here in the Pinterest analytics dashboard. And I have a Pinterest business account, which is totally free, and you get analytics on your pins and clicks and all the stats and a lot more. So if I were you and I just uploaded and scheduled my pins and they're out for a week or two, I would go into the analytics and have a look at the best performing templates. Like what templates gave you the most clicks to your website? And now you can start analyzing why this is the case. Was it the image? Was it the text or the template itself that really worked? What was your least performing pin? You might want to kick it out of your favorites and try a different one. So many people on Pinterest miss this important step. You want to create more of what your audience wants. If one topic or template resonates really well, create more of such content. If something doesn't work, try something new. This has to be part of your business strategy, and yet so many people stop before the work is done. You leave so much valuable information on the table, and you and I know information and knowledge is power. You get analytics when you have a Pinterest business account. You can switch from your personal account to a business account, or what I would recommend is to start a new business account for your company. Pinterest business accounts are 100% free, but you get more information and more exposure for your pin. It's really a no-brainer. Do it. Woohoo! That was it for this Tailwind Create Masterclass. Shall we do a quick recap? So in step number 1, you want to add your images, your pin title, and your pin URL. So the destination where you want to lead people from Pinterest to whatever. So your blog posts or your products or your services. Then in step number 2, you want to find templates you like and adjust the overall template settings. Now in step number 3, you want to make final editing tweaks to the pin templates that you really like. So depending on the colors, your branding, and the image, you might want to change it up a little bit. Then in step number 4, you want to repurpose your content for different niche seasons and events. So this was the example where we had a pin for the same destination for a cocktail for wedding guests, creating a cocktail for a picnic date, or creating a cocktail as a Thanksgiving hello to your family and friends. Now, in step number 5, you then want to go ahead and create template favorites to optimize your Pinterest workflow. Now, you could go ahead and scroll all the templates inside of Tailwind Create every time you have something new, or you can create favorite templates and even optimize your workflow and literally create pins in seconds. Then in step number 6, you want to go ahead and schedule your pins inside of Tailwind so they go out over the next couple of weeks. You also want to download your pins if you want to add them to your blog posts or your shop. And then in step number 7, you want to rinse, repeat, and optimize so you can figure out what really resonates with your audience and then create more of what works. So that's it from me. That was our masterclass on how to create pins with Tailwind Create in seconds. I honestly hope you found this masterclass helpful. Please share any questions, comments, or feedback in the comment section below. I love to know your thoughts on this. And don't forget, you can access Tailwind Create as of right now by following the steps I describe below using my special code. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this masterclass, and thank you for being part of this amazing community. My name is Katie, and I wish you loads of success using this tool.